You are now dialed into Investment Research Radio. All material on this program is not to be taken as investment advice and is for informational purposes only. Investment Research Radio interviews the most exciting up-and-coming companies, as well as market commentary from leading analysts and traders. Now with your host, Ray Crowley.
Welcome to Investment Research Radio. I'm your host, Ray Crowley, and today we have CEO Ray Paquette of International Zeolite Corp, which is a green tech mining company, which trades as IZ on the TSX venture. Thanks for coming on today, Ray.
Well, thank you very much for having me, Ray. Pleasure to talk to you.
So you've got quite an interesting company here with it being a zeolite-themed company. Could you tell us a bit about what it is you guys do?
Well, I've been with the company for a number of years, since 1994. And the zeolite asset that I acquired when we took over this company back in the early 90s was something that was totally unknown to anybody. But when I did some research on the zeolite deposits that this company had in its inventory, I realized the amount of value that zeolite could bring to a number of markets, anywhere from water purification, air purification, to better growing mediums. The issue with anything that is very new, industrial mineral, is that they're very hard to get to market. So we've worked on this project now for many years, and by being able to have the resource, to have our mining in production, we've developed a number of markets. When you start to use the blending of science and the mineral that can be effective, is what we have gone through as a company in order to get our product to market. So internationally, zeolites have been around for a long time. And most of the zeolite activity for markets is in China, Japan, Australia, New Zealand. And in the North American market, it's very nouveau. So consequently, we're in the beginning stages of getting something to market, something that we have to get people to understand. And that's all part and parcel of marketing our product, getting people awareness, and being able to establish benefit for our zeolite to different products.
Sounds like
so. It's exciting. That's what it is.
Sounds like there's an opportunity here. So zeolite is a mineral. Can you tell us a bit about that mineral?
Well, I mean, the way zeolites were formed, it's all of the volcanic ash when it settles in various areas all around the planet. Okay. It settled generally in areas that were either lake beds, some type of an area where there is moisture. So when the ash settled into these areas, there's a reaction between the ash and the medium that it's landed in, and over hundreds of thousands of years, a zeolite is formed. Now, the zeolite formation is definitely different from deposit to deposit, depending upon what the ash landed in. So consequently, you've got a lot of zeolites around the world between ferrolites and bentonites and eulandites and chabasites. Clinoptilolite is essentially the mineral that we work with that is it's like a workhorse. It has got the ability to function in a lot of different areas that are effective in absorbing nutrients and being able to release them slowly back to the soil if you're using it as a growing medium. So in a nutshell, it's a volcanic mineral that over time people have developed uses for that mineral to benefit different areas.
Very interesting. And the primary use is currently in agriculture. Would you say that is the largest market currently, or?
Well, for us, we've been able now to develop a very clear, definitive benefit by introducing our zeolite into the animal feed business. We've done some very large studies back in Ontario with turkey growing mediums, chicken broiler mediums, using antibiotic-free mixtures. And our 1% add of zeolite to their feed has shown a definite result that is improved animal health, weight gain, better grade of meat, less methane, and for the farmer, the significance is they make 6.5% more on the bottom line for their investment. So for us, it's a very big market, both here and in the United States. Hundreds of millions of tons of feed are produced every year. And what we've been able to achieve now is that the success of any product is what is the benefit, and are you making more money by using it? We've done this in that animal feed business, but there are a number of other markets that we are now engaging in, between road salt replacement, water filtration, soil amendments. These are all agricultural-based, little projects that we've been studying now for years. And with the studying, we've been able to achieve answers and success. So our markets are all the way from municipal composting to animal feed to artificial turf for bedding. And the fertilizer business for us is relatively large, simply because the zeolite in a fertilizer acts as a slow-release fertilizer itself, because the nutrients that the zeolite absorbs, it slowly releases back moisture and those nutrients to the plant on demand. So, I mean, I knew nothing about zeolite. I knew nothing about it 20 years ago, and I'm learning a lot more every day.
So you have your animal feed additive. Is that a proprietary product that you have there?
It's not proprietary, simply because there are other people all around the world that are using the zeolite for a feed additive. The deal here is to have, in Canada, you have to have Canadian Food Inspection Agency approval. You have to have the bigger mills to be able to incorporate your zeolite into their feed. And that's what we've been able to achieve. So for us, it's a matter of, you got to get through some pretty big doors to get to the bigger feed company to even have them take a look at you. And when we first got our first interview with, a huge operation in Ontario, Wallenstein Feeds, it's the largest independent feed mill in Canada. When we first met them, I went in with our couple of nuclear physicists, PhDs that know all about zeolite. Well, what they didn't know was about, when you're dealing with a food company, you deal with nutritionists.
Yeah.
And if you're going to take anything away from what they've got in their feed already, you better have an answer for why it is better. What are you going to do with the 1 or 2% that you're taking away from my feed? How are you benefiting us? How are you benefiting the end user? And consequently, over the past years, we've proven how we can benefit them. So it's been a good year for us. And now it's a matter of, you still got to get out, you still got to sell this stuff, but the end and the most, to be satisfied with something, you got to make something work. And we're making the zeolite work in the feed market.
That's great. So you have your feed additive, and there's also a soil conditioner as well?
Yeah, it's a matter of, when you understand what zeolite does, it's called cation exchange capacity. And what zeolites, the structure of a zeolite is, it looks like a honeycomb. It looks like a beehive, okay? And in each one of those little lattices, the zeolite, it draws in, it absorbs nutrients, water, and what happens is that things that go into the zeolite structure, the oversized molecules, the heavy metals and things like that, they are too big to be released. So they get locked up in the zeolite, and what happens, perfect example is if you absorb ammonia, it converts on a slow exchange back to the medium, back to the earth as a nitrogen. So it slows down how it feeds the plant by its exchange of the ammonia to the nitrogen back to the plant. It's really interesting because a lot of the tests that have been done, you see that you have an improved in tomatoes. You have a better tasting tomato. You have more tomatoes. When you increase your yield, that's what the zeolite does, because it's only providing the proper nutrients back to the root of the plant that feed to the fruit of the plant, which creates your tomatoes or your grapes or whatever the crop may be, right? So I've been amazed at what it can do, and it's now where we're applying this to a lot of the people in Canada, into the Okanagan, into people that need groundwater contamination. It's a problem everywhere. When you are able to combine science and zeolite, you're able to take that contamination and turn it around where it's been filtered, and the harmful material that is going through the filtration process is not released back to the soil. So it's a quick little education here for you in zeolite, but the long-term effect of the zeolite is very positive. So
it has a bit of a green technology, sort of clean tech element of it as well.
I've learned so much in Cuba. We've been doing business with the University of Havana now for about the last 4.5 years. And albeit that they don't have any money in Cuba, they have made it very important in their workings there to use zeolites for different markets. And they have perfected ways to take zeolite and modify it by the addition of zinc or the addition of magnesium or the addition of something else. That zinc in water, it makes bad water drinkable. If you've got runoffs, for example, in the farming communities where you've got all of this
nitrogen.
Not nitrogen, not the nitrogen. You're looking at the phosphoruses, the phosphates that are running off from the farms, okay? Well, as that seeps down through the groundwater to the lakes, by the time it gets to the lakes, it creates this toxic algae bloom. If you combine zeolite with magnesium in filtration systems, you never have that problem. So these are the markets that we're looking at now, because all across Canada you've got problems with water. You've got problems in the northern Aboriginal camps where they can't drink their own water. So this is what zeolites can help. It's not the one size fits all, we cure everything, but it's certainly part and parcel of a benefit for better drinking water, better growing mediums. For us, any of the composting facilities have got a real big problem. And the first thing is composting facilities downwind, the neighbors hate you. We have been very successful in our test run in Ontario. We reduced the emissions at the region of Peel by 85% by the blend of 3% zeolite. So I know that it works, and it's a matter of getting guys to get the checkbook out, because if you want to save something, you've got to spend some money. So that's where we're at right now. We've got things that work, but now you've got to convince the municipality that if you want to cut down on your sink with respect to composting, you've got to write a check.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're doing, right?
It seems like there's many applications. Can you speak to
Absolutely.
what you have as far as a mining resource?
In British Columbia, we have two operations, one that is in production and one which is a operation that I staked back in, or a property that I staked back in the 2004, I think, which was previously drilled in the early 90s. And I was lucky enough to stake the property, and we have been developing that property now since 2004, 2005, with the ambition to be able to put into production. We will start working on that property this year, 2020 we'll do our mine lease. But during the interim, okay, we have a property called the Bromley Creek Deposit, which is in production. We've got a full mining operation agreement with APL, which is a very good company out of Kamloops, BC. And they've been in the diatomaceous earth business for years. I've been friends with them for years, but they do all of our mining, they do all of our packaging and processing. So our Bromley Creek deposit is in production, and we now have a number of products we've developed that are now being shipped out of the Kamloops operation for end users.
How many products do you have?
There's about 15.
That's great.
And most of these are things for soil amendment, for animal feed, for chicken feed, for just products that the zeolites are effective in agriculture. They're packaged in different ways. Zeolite is sold in different sizes. Different sizes are good for different things.
And you made an acquisition a couple of years ago, is that correct?
An acquisition of what?
Of another company?
We bought Earth Innovations, which in December of 2017, which is a company that's been doing the zeolite business for a long time, and their business is road salt replacement by using zeolites. And they've got, a number of customers, and we took them over at a time when they needed some help, and we needed some retail sales or wholesale sales. So over the past year and a half, we were able to increase their sales last year by about 50%, and things currently are looking relatively good because we're expanding their products. It's not only that they have road salt replacement, they've got a really good product called Smell Grabber that is very effective for getting rid of any, if you've got that little Oscar under your counter where you're putting all your organics, it's good to sprinkle a little bit of the Smell Grabber on top. And all it is it's zeolite that absorbs the odor. We're also doing a pretty big campaign now with Zeo Infill. Artificial turf has become very big in the United States, and it's getting better and bigger in Canada every year. So we have a couple of customers here out of the Bromley Creek that we've been supplying this, effectively what it is. It's the bedding that you put your astroturf or your synthetic turf on top for lawns, for commercial buildings, for apartment blocks, that sort of thing. It's a great business for us because the zeolite absorbs the moisture, the odor, and it provides a very good medium for this turf to sit on top of. So it's just another customer.
That's great. So you're up 4% on your stock today. You're still trading near a bottom at 13 cents right now. You'll only get a market cap of 4.76 million, and it was much higher just a little while ago. Maybe you could tell us about some growth potential. What kind of traction have you had so far as revenues?
I think the big thing is we were a little bit oversold in when we did the acquisition 2016, 2017. We had a high of $1.95 with very good volumes, and over the past year, we have really buckled down into trying to get a number of products to market. We've taken on a big position in Eastern Canada with getting our Cuban zeolite to the eastern seacoast, developing warehousing there, putting a focus on 4 or 5 products that we can provide our Cuban zeolite into the eastern market. So for us now, it's a matter of what are we doing? Where are our sales going? What are our new products? And getting our story out. So that's what's next.
What kind of market is there for zeolite for example, the cost per ton on the market? What do you get for that?
Well, it depends upon what size you're doing. Zeolites go up to about $5.50 a ton. And it depends upon if we're using something that only needs run-of-mine material. It doesn't have a big processing behind it, because when you mine zeolite, this is open pit. It's a quarry, but that is drilled and blasted at the site. Now, there are certain products that you can use right at the site, and in British Columbia right now, the last couple of years, we've had a lot of flooding, and consequently, being that we have a lot of mines in the province, I've got a relationship with some of the First Nations people that have got areas that they have concerns with. And we can have run-of-mine zeolite that becomes very important for them to be able to put in berms of zeolite to filter the runoff from any of these watered areas that are running through leaching ponds or any of the old mines that are starting to leach arsenic. The zeolite is very effective in catching it. So at that level, you're looking at a product that's $60 to $100 a ton, but it hasn't been processed.
Okay.
When you start moving it up the food chain, if you're going to put it into the feeds is a specific size. So now you've gone from that to $400 a ton, to $500 a ton. It depends upon what the end product is going to be, which depicts the price.
And you're pretty much at the forefront of this, at least in Canada. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's another operator here in Cache Creek. They're not where we are, but they do have a zeolite deposit. I've talked to the guys. They've asked us to give them some supply of our zeolite, simply because I tried to tell you earlier that each deposit is a little bit different, okay? Mm-hmm. And the Bromley Creek deposit, for what their end use is far superior to than what they have. So if you're starting to get involved in cementatious systems, or if you're trying to use the zeolite as something to do with cement, our zeolite out of Princeton, out of the Bromley Creek deposit, is the best zeolite in the province for that particular form of work.
Could you give us your website and any last comments before we head out?
Yeah, it's internationalzeolite.com, and we've got a really great little company that has been working hard to develop our products. I'm very proud to say that zeolite to me becomes it's a challenge every day, because every day I find more and more effective ways of getting our zeolite to market. And the people that I'm working with now in a lot of the agricultural spaces, or in Cuba or in third world countries that depend upon this mineral, a lot of them call it the magic rock. Well, the magic rock happens to be something that we have a very good position in Canada. We've got good relationships with every zeolite producer in North America and in Europe. So there's cooperation between all of us, simply because we're all working in the same space. And the main thing is for us to be able to get zeolite to market so that it benefits everybody. That's it in a nutshell. That's
great. Great story, Ray. Thanks so much for coming on today and filling us in on zeolite and your company.
Good. Thanks very much, Ray, and have a great afternoon.
Yeah, you too. Take care.
Thank you for tuning into Investment Research Radio. Don't forget to sign up for the regular show and stay informed at investmentresearchradio.com.